I sat across from my mother today. I was 22 years old. I had a pregnancy test in my left hand and my university acceptance letter in my right. The exact same two pieces of paper she held 39 years ago. I was crying. I was so scared I could barely breathe. I looked at her and asked the question that had been tearing me apart for 3 days. Mom, if I keep this baby, do I have to give up my life? Do I have to give up my dreams? She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me, poured me a cup of tea, and sat down. And then she told me a story I had never heard before. She told me about 1983. She told me about the Art Institute in Chicago. She told me about the acceptance letter she held in that very kitchen, crying happy tears, imagining a studio with big north-facing windows. And she told me about the moment she found out she was pregnant with me. She said, I knew right then I couldn't have both. So I chose you. I chose you 1,000 times. But I never told you that it was a choice. I was stunned. My mom, the woman who always seemed so perfectly content, so completely devoted to our family, had a whole secret life of grief. She told me about the blue folder hidden in the bottom drawer of her desk, the painting she did at night when we were asleep, the photography classes she dropped when my dad lost his job and we needed money for braces. She told me about the short stories she wrote in the margins of her grocery lists, about the woman in her stories who traveled to Paris, sat in cafes by the Seine, and painted watercolors of the bridges. I never went to Paris, she whispered, because I was terrified that if I stood in front of the Eiffel Tower, I would realize how much I had given up. And I wasn't sure I could survive that feeling. I started crying all over again, not out of fear this time, but out of a deep, aching understanding. I finally saw her not just as my mother, but as a woman who had locked her dreams in a drawer so that I could have mine. But then she reached across the table, took my hands, and looked me right in the eyes. And she said something that changed everything. You asked me if you have to give up your dreams, she said, and the answer is no. You do not have to do what I did. You do not have to disappear. You do not have to become only a mother and nothing else. She told me that the world has changed, that I don't have to hide my ambitions. Finish your degree, she told me. Take the baby to class. Paint on weekends. Write in the margins. Don't let anyone tell you that motherhood is the end of your ambition. It will be messy. You will be tired. You will cry over spilled milk and unfinished essays. But you can be both. She squeezed my hands. I spent 30 years wondering what my life would have looked like if I had been brave enough to want two things at once. I don't want you to spend even one day wondering the same thing. I looked at the pregnancy test. I looked at the acceptance letter. And for the first time in 3 days, the crushing weight in my chest began to lift because I realized something. My mother's sacrifice gave me the life I have today, but her advice is giving me the future I want tomorrow. I am going to have this baby, and I am going to finish my degree. I am going to be a mother, and I am going to be an artist. It's going to be hard. It's going to be exhausting. There will be nights I sit at the kitchen table with a glass of wine and a sketchbook, wondering how I'm going to make it all work. But I won't be hiding. I won't be grieving in silence. I will be building a life where my child sees me chasing my dreams just as I chase theirs. My mom chose me, and she found new dreams in watching me grow, and that was enough for her. But for me, I get to keep the old ones too. I looked at her and smiled through my tears. Okay, I said, we'll figure it out. And she smiled back. We always do. I love you, Mom. Thank you for the life you gave up. And thank you for the life you're helping me build.